Everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 on painting a Batwing and some saddlebag side carriers for a Kawasaki Vulcan. I left you off in part 1, which is this one here, and we got the bit of prep work done on the Batwing. We've done a bit of fiberglass filler in and skimmed a little bit of filler over, just filled some holes up, and we got it into a 2K high build. And then on these, which were the side carriers, we'd prep these up, masked them out, and we'd sort of bag them off, move them to one side because we've got to do them in a plastic primer. And I was waiting for the base coat. Now I've got the base coat today, so we've got all the paints we need. So today's products we're using on our little checklist I will pop up right now. So they're the bits we are using in today's video, guys. They're the sort of things you sort of need to have on your checklist to do these pieces that we're doing today. You can do cheaper options if you just source them, but they're some of the bits that I've got. They're the ones that I'm using today. Now, the first thing we're going to do is guide coat, and I've got some here. This is basically the same one that you've seen in that little clip. This one is a powder form. You can use a black aerosol paint. You can use that exactly the same. What you'll do is you'll just back off from your panel with an aerosol and lightly mist over it, so you're getting black speckles of paint over your primer. So if that's your primered surface, you could aerosol over the top very lightly and leave little black speckles. But we're going to go in with a dry guide coat, smear the guide coat over the top, and what this does is it's a visual aid for when you sand. Because if you're just going to sand primer, you're sort of sanding it down and you're touch feeling it to see how flat it is. But when you've got the guide coat on, the guide coat will sit in the low spots and you'll get your high spots in your primer. You basically got like an orange peel in your primer that goes across. So when the guide coat goes on, it sinks into all them little recesses. So then when you sand it, you sand back the black till it disappears, and then you'll get a flat, true finish. So it's basically a visual aid to help you sand your primer and your fillers up. So we're going to guide coat this up, block the top, and then where you've got all these edges, going with a soft sponge 320 on a foam pad. This is just basically a sponge. I just hold it to the sponge and then just tickle all around these bits here and flat it out, and that'll be good to go. Once that's done, we've got these, which are the side carriers. Now, we'd prepped all these up in red Scotch-Brite in episode 1, and we'd masked them out, so they're all masked out and prepped up and ready. Now they need plastic priming, so we're going to plastic prime them, and on these little side chrome pieces, spoke to the customer, we're going to lose the chrome, prep these up, plastic prime them because they're plastic with a chrome like finish on them. We're going to prep them up and we're going to base them in black, so the whole side panels will be based in black. And now I can get my artwork because we've got some skulls to go on either side, and we've got some barbed wire effect, but that's going to be in episode 3 because we move on to the artwork stages there. So that's what's happening today. A little bit more prep work, plastic priming, and we'll get everything up into base coat, and I'll show you the stages as we go along. So I'll move you in a little bit closer, stick you on a time lapse, and we'll get the guide coat and prepping done on the Batwing. Right guys, we've got that prep stage done. You've seen it sort of whizzed over in the time lapse. That's taken me around, say 15-20 minutes. Taking it nice and steady. There's no rush. You've not got to rush through that process. The best finish you can get on that will hold you in good stead for the rest of your paintwork. It all boils down to your prep. If you've got shoddy prep, you can be a brilliant sprayer, but if you've got crap prep work, that crap prep work's just going to show through that panel all the way across to the finish. So if you've got a lump in your prep, you're going to have a lump in your clear coat at the end. So get it nice and flat, take your time, let the papers do the work. You see a lot of people where they're hammering the sandpaper down to sand it back. And all you're doing is choking the sandpaper up nice and light, and let the paper just keep even pressure. If you're using a block, just keep even pressure down throughout your hand as you press. Don't sort of lean into it over there or onto the side. Keep nice and flat, keep your block flat, and let the paper do its job. That's all you've got to do. So nice and light. So we got started off with 320 on this, and just guide coated it 320 down, lost all the black on the 320, and then just put a 800 disc on a bit of foam and just feathered over with an 800 disc, just looking down. Look down at your light source where you see your light coming across your panel. Just look down your panel and just feather it out with an 800. So that's finished off in 800 grit. That finish on this is better than when it turned up as it was new, because the actual coat that was on it, when you look down it in the light, you could see ripples in it, you could see orange peel in it. So now I know this is good to base from. We can now base up on this. We've got a good surface to go from. Drop the base coat on, and I know that first process is as good as I want it, as good as it will be for me finishing coats. I can just work off that then. So we can clean the studio up now, move that Batwing out the way, and then we're going to concentrate on these. We've got to try and hang these up somehow, because I've got to get them in plastic primer. We've got the side silver scallops that fit on the side of them to prep up, so we're just going to 320 over them, just scratch the surface up, and they can be plastic primed as well. And then we can get everything sort of hung up, and then I can take you through the base coat mixing and base coat application. I'll see you in the next step. Right, we are ready to move on to the next stage. I've got all these pieces hanging up, as you can see here. So a little bit of a limbo mission, trying to get around all these bits. Now the first thing I've done is turn the extractor on, swept the floor up, blew it out, and just left this running for about half an hour, taking a bit of the dust out. Came in, wet all the floors down, so I just misted over with the pump sprayer, just wet the floors down, misted up the polythene sheeting around the side, so it's got water on it. Then I went in and blew off all the items with the extractor on, so any dust that's left on these, blew it off. Then I got a microfiber with panel wipe degreaser and degreased all the panels, went round, degreased them, and then went in with the tack rag, blew it off and tack ragged all the pieces down. So we're ready and good to go for the next stage. Now we're going to use plastic primer, which is the Standox, straight out the can. I've got the DB1S set up, low pressure, and we're going to plastic prime that casing, that one there, and these two trims that are screwed to the side of this case. Back off 20 psi, nice and light, and just do a light drop coat over these. You don't need to solidly wet these up, you're just doing like a little grip coat in the plastic primer. So I'll stick it on the tripod and we'll get these into a primer. See you in a minute. Right, we've got the plastic primer down. You've seen that little clip. Just back off with your gun, 20 psi, full fan, and just do a light coat on them. So that's the plastic primer down on them. Does not look like anything's gone down, but we've got a nice coverage on that. On all these bits, got these bits here as well. Get a coat on them. So the next thing to do is mix your base coat. Now, we don't need a lot of base coat for this, just a good coverage. We're going to go in light, do a nice sort of, not full wet coat, we'll just do it so it's a closed coat but not too heavy. Just so you see it darken the panel off. You'll see it more so on this because it's grey primer underneath. These is just going to go black, so you'll just be staring at black. Now mixing it, on your measuring stick here, I've gone up to 4 on the paint, and then you will just add, you'll go up to 8. This is 2K fast thinner, so just take that up to 8, and that's a 50-50 mix. So 40 on your paint, and then up to number 8 on your measuring stick, or whatever amount you're mixing. If you're mixing like 100ml of paint, go up to your next marker, which will be 200 with your thinner, and that's your 50-50. So stick it on the tripod. I've left this plastic primer around 10-15 minutes to flash off. Don't want to put it down straight away on the panel. You don't want to hit your base coat straight away, just leave it about 10-15 minutes to flash off, and then you're good to go. So we're going to drop the black base on the Batwing first. We're going to go round the edges, back off with your gun around 6-7 inches away, 20 psi, bring it down slightly on this, and just go around the edges, and then just do some nice passes, moving your overlap up like 50-50 or 70-70 going up sort of, so you've got a nice pass. You don't want to leave gaps in between, you just want to get a nice sort of even finish on your first coat, and then on your next coat, after it's flashed off, you can then build it up and give it sort of a wetter coat. If you've not got full coverage on the second coat, leave it to flash off, and then go in on a third coat and do the same again, just do a full wet coat. So that's how we're going to apply it. I'll stick you on a time lapse. I'll see you at the end. We've got the base coat down, nice light coat to start with, not going full wet on the first coat, just sort of like a semi-closed sort of coat, just so you can see the paint down, not too light, you are covering but not really wet. Let that flash off, and then I'll give it one full wet coat over the top, and that's enough. On the side panels they're black anyway, so you're basically going over black again, but I was just covering up some of the imperfections that I sanded through, plastic primed them, and then dropped the black base. We've got the small bits here that we did, they've come out really nice, the side panels, and we've got the Batwing that's looking really nice now, all back to black, what it originally came in, but we've now filled the holes up on the top, so they're looking all nice. So the next stage on this, I'm just going to leave this now for the day. You could start going in after, say, I'd say an hour. You could then go in and start doing all your artwork and doing that. But I'm leaving this to cure right off. Let it go off solid, and then when we start part 3, I'll be going in with a grey Scotch Brite. And if there's any imperfections and dirt that's landed in your base coat, we can nib them out and then start the next process, because we're now going to go in with, on the next one's going to be whites and things like that, and we're going to start doing candies, and there's loads to do on these. So I hope you've picked something up along the way on applying a bit of plastic primer. There's been a bit of prep, guide coating, and then up into your base coats. So I'll see you in part 3. Thanks for watching again. Drop your comments. Cheers guys.